Warden, I'll ask you one time to come peacefully. I won't ask again. I appreciate your discretion. The envoy is a trusted figure, but you can never be too careful in situations like this. In any case, now is not the time to dawdle. Our next move must be to arrest Mujin. Only one thing troubles me, though. Diviner?
Pickpocket! Stop!
Good. Our case must be ironclad given whom we are accusing. I'm sorry, Diviner. I don't think I'll make it. That has become exceedingly difficult in the wake of all that's happened, but we are still duty-bound. Thank you. Vindicator, you're back. Did you uncover anything at Jandar's Rest? Harbinger, the floor is yours. I don't know if we have enough evidence. If we're the aggressors here, it may be harder to prove. Let's wait for them to make the first move. And on a personal note, I want to extend my gratitude for avenging my cousin's murder. I was afraid of that. If only I had preached more caution. But after the accident, things were dire. Serpent's breath. It's the Vindicator. Okim Kadik will have to answer for his crimes, of course, provided we can find him. I'd say that was a boast if it wasn't clearly the truth. No, it's safer in your hands. And when it comes time for the trial, I want you to deliver it. Thank you, Envoy. Impossible. If she's in any way connected to the case, it may be worth speaking to her. Agreed. It is difficult to believe, and as such, the proof must be ironclad. Then consider yourself introduced. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have things to attend to. Now, I was fortunate enough to get the spreadsheet gene, as they call it. Please, go on. All right. Keep following the trail. I'm sure something will turn up. It felt like Okaru was trying to warn me. I hate to say it, but I'm starting to panic. He hasn't shown up to work in days, and the timing of all this feels suspicious. Members of House Dul'kehf who handle trade in and out of Dazra. We are part of the Ministry of Commerce, but our building was lost in the cataclysm. I'm sorry, Vindicator. I don't think I'll make it. Javina, is this you? If you don't mind, I'd like a moment with the diviner alone. Thank you, Vindicator. And the supplies were ordered by my people at House Dul'kehf. And while having the conversation here isn't entirely secure, we press for time, so it'll have to do. Of course, I'll do my best to reward you. What troubles you, Reverend? I'm sorry for the secrecy, Envoy. You're right, and your concern is welcome. And while the buildings themselves are gone, the staff remains. Collectively, we are still trying to serve the needs of Dazra and its citizens. The slate you brought to me does have some information. Time is pressing. Was there anything else? Normally, I'd question that. But after the accident, I've come to believe just about anything is possible. If only it were that easy. Warden Bethal says it's a problem of resources. Given the severity of your crimes, the captain has the authority to do it by force. If what he says is true, a watchful eye is being kept on House Dul'kehf. They may blame him or me for the supplies going missing. Do not ever attempt that again. Stop this nonsense. Jinan's breath. That was harder than I expected. Tevina and I were colleagues for years, friends even. Once again, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you.
Someone is being attacked!
What troubles you, Harbinger? He'll likely appeal for clemency. But what we've got is enough to lock him up for a long, long time.
There's been an attack! Guards!
I appreciate the support. My mind has been frazzled as of late. If that's the case, then I'll just have to wait for the envoy's evidence to be submitted. We are a house that values efficiency and detail, and our elder Hazmek is no exception. But perhaps you've brought evidence that might back up his word. Good. If you have an idea who this person might be, I'd follow up on that. Yes. And against my better judgment. That's on me, and I'm sure you're busy with issues regarding your own house. I'm sorry, Harbinger. I don't think I'll make it. I want to be careful, but I will say this. There are members of the noble houses who have floated the idea of reconciliation in the past. Once that is sorted, we can revisit this debate. This assassin's attempt will help our case, but we still need evidence tying him to Mujin. I am here to serve, Harbinger. Examining this, it seems I owe you an apology, Mujin. For that, you will be well rewarded. Then let's go over the evidence and find out. Give it back, or I call the guards. He mentioned that to me as well. But we'll need more. Keep digging into it and let me know what else you find. That is what I suggested to Ukaru originally when I asked him to dig further. You haven't answered my question, Mujin. The contents were cryptic. He mentions the possible conspiracy and being followed and well... And yes, I am aware you had no personal stake in solving this, but that makes me appreciate your efforts all the more. I think the vocal analysis will prove this is you, which means you knew about the theft and murdered his ward to cover your tracks. He confessed to aiding the zealots, which ultimately led to my cousin Ukaru's death. It's possible they were lost in the tragedy along with everything else, but I don't know for sure. Until next time, Harbinger. Go away. Their primary focus is diplomacy, gathering information, and converting unbelievers to the true path. Well, if the implication is my cousin is the conspirator, his death disproves that theory. Yes, but given the seriousness of the accusation, the proof must be irrefutable. I'm well aware and brought a weapon, but I'm still counting on you to be my dagger in the dark. Then we'll need to move swiftly, given his standing with House Kadik. Greetings, Harbinger. I'm not sure. The message was vague, and there are many who would want to do us harm. First the cataclysm, now this. There's too much going on right now. Well, any additional evidence is always helpful. Let's have a look. Ukaru's workstation is likely your best bet. He's been working in the rehabilitation unit on the 3rd floor of the Halls of Healing. What are you doing? Know your place. Jinan's breath. I had no idea.
Great Serpent! Murder!
He's a prominent member of another noble house. I'm slightly concerned about the optics of this. If the zealots are responsible, they must be punished. What troubles you, Vindicator? But I also trust my cousin's record-keeping. It's hard to imagine he made a mistake. I hoped I had masked it better, but yes, I am. Yes, as a matter of fact. The bodies of the assassins. They may offer more clues. But she also has a distinct manner of speech, which... Well, I will need to verify the contents of the slate you gave me before I say anything more. This slate, found on the body of Okim Kadik. You're back. Have you uncovered any new information? Funny you should say that. Armiger, it's possible the Vortex issues are to blame here, but something about Ukaru's messages make me think otherwise.
Guards! Guards!
Yes, I am aware of the conflict of interest, which is precisely why I'm letting the Harbinger take the lead on this. Thank you all for coming. If that slate has coordinates, she may have the means to decrypt it. You're back. Have you uncovered any new information? Serpent guide you, and be safe. I'm aware of the conflict of interest, which is precisely why I'm letting the diviner take the lead on this. Hopefully you'll find my cousin alive and safe. Guard, escort the warden to lockup. I think the guard captain will be very interested in the contents of this slate. I'll take this up with the captain of the guard. After that, our part in all of this is done. What are you doing here? My hope is for the same. Thank you for doing this. Very well. Let us know when you're ready to speak on this. Talk to Tavina. She'll find a way to decrypt that slate. Now, in part thanks to you, it serves as the home for House Varun. All we can do now is pick up the trail where he left off, starting with the information on this slate. It is not until his disappearance that I have begun to suspect something more sinister. It's a well-known secret that Mujin was not a popular member of House Kadik. If you have time, check his office. There may be information connecting him to this individual. Thank you, Diviner. I would not be making this claim without sufficient cause. nor is House Dul'kehf the bearer of this information. That is the part I am having trouble with myself. But perhaps our loyalty to House Varun blinds us, and when it comes time to act, it is we who are most prepared. Until next time. I don't want to jump to conclusions, but it looks that way.
What is going on?
Give me until the coming dawn, and I will summon the relevant parties to my office. I am here to serve, Vindicator. On its own, not necessarily damning, but combined with all the other evidence, it signifies a pattern. I'm sorry, Reverend. I don't think I'll make it. Indeed, I'm here to serve, Armiger. I'm not sure that's wise, given Ukaru's warnings.
Oh no!
The slate Ukaru sent via courier is light on details, but he did say that one of the noble houses may be involved. Is that correct? You came to me earlier claiming Mujin Kadik was a supply thief. Are you saying that you were mistaken? You are living proof of that, no? We'll meet in my office. I'll call Tevina as well, so that all houses are represented. What troubles you, adherent? Until next time, Armiger. With the accident and all that's going on, I haven't really had time to grieve. The case is all but closed, in my opinion. I've nothing to say. All told, I'm grateful. My cousin's murderer has been avenged, and the supply chain is once again secure. You've done Dazra a great service. As executors tend to be, he is also meticulous and detailed. Okay, let's walk. But I cannot imagine that anyone with access to said shipments would commit such heresy. Make all the threats you want, Envoy. My decision is made. Guard, take him away. They mostly deal with matters regarding the settled systems. It's very likely that is the case. As for Witch House, well, I'm not sure at this point. I appreciate you backing me up on this one. Mujin, does this mean he's the supply thief? Are you sure? I'm sorry if I seem a bit flustered. Things have been chaotic since the cataclysm, and now word of missing supplies. I must admit, I am a bit skeptical that House Kadik would be so ignorant of his dealings. Exactly. We keep the circle of trust small until we know who to let in.
Help! Pickpocket!
Until next time, Diviner. More determined than ever. Dazra's problems are many, but they can be solved. Of course. When you have time, we'll meet. Given the incident, a lost shipment here and there is almost a given. House Kadik would have the intel and spies. Greetings, adherent. And Ukaru himself was extremely punctual. He would not miss 3 minutes, let alone 3 days. Let me know if you have any further questions. What? So you admit to the crime, Mujin? They handle all matters concerning the Varun populace. You're the only impartial person involved in this case. Trouble only begins to describe it. Mujin, are you sure? But yes, we must continue the investigation. Face forward. I am aware of the conflict of interest, which is precisely why I'm letting the Reverend take the lead on this. I am here to serve, adherent. Before the cataclysm, city operations were comprised of 3 branches, run by each of the noble houses. House Kadik, Vethol, and Dul'kehf. I'm so relieved to have Ukaru back safe and sound. Thank you again for all that you've done. Good work, Warden. But there is one more thing we need to discuss before bringing this case to a close. Jinan, bless you. I would not have survived that if you hadn't been here. Likewise. And I'm well aware of who you are. Word of the first convert in generations is on everyone's lips these days. Smart, cowardly, and treacherous. But to make such accusations, more proof is required. And yet we still try to get it done, in the little window we are given. Thank you for your diligence, Envoy. On that note, I hate to take up any more of your time than I already have. Greetings, Reverend. Security has identified him as Okim Kadik. But if it's as robust as he claims, then it seems we have our supply thief.
Ah!
I disagree. Given the politics of arresting a rival house member, more evidence is never a bad thing. On the contrary, I've had our techs confirm it. This is your voice. Understood. Sadly, I can't rely on anyone in the noble houses to investigate this, so let me know if you change your mind. Reverend, is that correct? You came to me earlier claiming someone from House Kadik was a supply thief. Is that not Mujin? We're going to need to enlist some help. I'd like you to speak with Tivina Bethol at the keep. In Dazra, all must serve. This is my fault. I should have listened to Ukharu the first time. And instead, it seems unfathomable. But perhaps Ukharu was right. A member of the noble houses has betrayed us. Continue your investigation, and we'll address the contents of this slate when the time is right.
Help!
Listen to it. It's your voice, Diviner. The floor is yours. I'm beginning to think our meeting wasn't a coincidence, but divined by the serpent itself. Operatives that were called home from the settled systems. If so, this Okim Sharon may be one of them. It is, but I have faith in your abilities. I remember falling from my chair, trying to get my bearings in this period of eerie silence. And then I heard the screams. He was certain someone was using the tragedy as cover to steal supplies and route them to our enemies. I apologize, but with the cataclysm, the investigation has been slow going. It's all right. Keep this in your back pocket for now. I'm sure it'll become clearer the more you investigate. Commerce agents work with smugglers to organize drop-offs, trade routes, and ensure our efforts remained discreet. But since the thief seems to be a lone operative, House Kadik is clear of any involvement, as are the noble houses.
Somebody help me!
Is that so, Mujin? Or do you deny the words you yourself wrote? To forsake one's duty for profit is an affront to House Verun. I'm sorry you had to hear it this way. I know you two were close. While I wish you had waited until he attacked first, perhaps we still have time to gather more evidence, which means you knew about the supply theft and attempted to pin the blame on House Kadik. And to be honest, I'm somewhat relieved. This could have been a political nightmare. Mark my words. We will bring him to justice with all three noble houses as witness. In fact, if I were you, Envoy, I would think long and hard about submitting to the guard peacefully. House Vithal would have the authority to put supplies on hold and confiscate them. All right. What would you like to know? When you betray House Varun, there is only one kind. I want to avoid innocents being caught in the crossfire. Interesting. A remote access login. Okim Sharom. The name is familiar, but I can't quite place where from.
Guards! A pickpocket!
Vindicator, the floor is yours. See what you can find at House Kadik. Your status should provide some freedom of movement there. That much is evident to everyone involved, especially Warden Vethol. Alive? But how? And besides, you did the legwork. You deserve the honor of submitting it. The accident has strained our supply chain on a number of fronts. Envoy Kadik argues it's a problem of manpower. Greetings, Diviner. I suppose humor is welcome at a time like this. And you are not wrong. I don't have anything against Mujin, but leaks can happen very easily in this business. It's best to keep our cards close to the vest. At the moment, it remains unoccupied. There is no time for trials. Sentences are carried out at the discretion of security. I am aware of the conflict of interest, which is precisely why I'm letting the Armiger take the lead on this. Clearly, your ward was acting independently in violation of your trust. It is, but I have faith in your abilities. In that case, maybe you can help. I see. Then perhaps you can tell me what you're here for. Do you need assistance? Well said. On my side, I am thankful to have people who understand confidentiality and discretion. Any package put on hold must be approved by at least 2 executors. How could this be? I had no idea she was involved in any of this. How did you know? When you return, meet me at the Halls of Obedience, where we first met. Greetings, Vindicator. This person would have to be well versed in our operational pipeline. My cousin was always one step ahead. It seems that was the case even in death. I am here to serve, Diviner. Until next time, Reverend. Adherent, the floor is yours. Pray that I could, but right now I need more time, not less. Too much, if my heart is to be considered. Serpent's breath. It's the adherent. I suspect he may have operated independently, and Elder Razma will likely deny any involvement. Indeed. But there's more going on here than meets the eye. Adherent, once you locate him, report back to me. I've got a meeting at House Kadik later, but I shouldn't be hard to track down. I don't know. Rules must be followed. Procedures are in place for a reason. How did you even discover all this? But that doesn't excuse my rudeness. Let me at least introduce myself. Next time I call the guards, and they are not kind to thieves. Of course.
Help! Thief! Return that this instant!
Thank you. But one question remains. How would they gain access to the shipments in the first place? And while he stopped short of confessing, I think it's safe to say we got our man. I know you are right, but I can't help but feel guilty. As little good as it may do. Excellent. As for me, I must mourn my cousin's passing. I understand there's a shrine upstairs. Myself and some others were having dinner at the meat house. If you don't mind, I'd like a moment with the Harbinger alone. How could you find our home? That is kind of you to say. Your benevolence continues to surprise me. Vital supplies for the city, which given the cataclysm is a wide breadth of things. I am disheartened to hear you say that. But I hope, when the moment comes, you will do the right thing. He's a good man. A little awkward, yes, but who isn't? You do not belong here. If you don't mind, I'd like a moment with the Vindicator alone. Greetings, Armiger. When others rush, we are deliberate. When others speak, we are the first to listen. As far as I'm concerned, the case is closed. But if you have further evidence, it may help with the conviction. I had hoped we would have solved the supply issue by now, but there's been a complication.
Ugh!
They are fiercely loyal to House Varun and are in charge of rooting out zealotry in our ranks. I'll have security look them over also, but if their ranks have been infiltrated, I'd rather you inspect them first. While I'd be curious to know what you think, we shouldn't jump to conclusions just yet. Serpent's breath. It's the Reverend. A grim reality is, it's unlikely he will be there long. Aiding the zealots is a crime punishable by death. There are typically no exceptions. On the contrary, Warden, I believe it is. An independent investigator, unaffiliated with the houses, is what we need here. Of course. Let me explain. In order not to waste your hard work, I need to make sure Tavina's arrest is ironclad. What troubles you, Diviner? By the great serpent.
Jinan's breath!
My word. Serpent's breath. It's the Harbinger. Thank you for looking into this for me. You are not walking away with that. I am here to serve, Reverend. Your diligence is appreciated, Warden. And if there's nothing else you'd like to discuss, I think we can bring this case to a close. What could this mean? That's all right. We shouldn't jump to conclusions either.
No! What have you done?
Our resources were blocked. We needed those supplies, and some may say we are trying to shift the balance of power, and so to move forward, our evidence must be ironclad. False modesty doesn't suit you. You went above and beyond, and that's not luck. It's dedication. I had an inkling I was being followed, so I asked for a security detail to protect me. Madri. I believe that's the name of the woman who idles around the meat house from time to time. For now, let me see what I can find out regarding the missing supplies. But if he is in danger, I don't know if it's safe for me to investigate. I need someone disconnected from the noble houses. What is the meaning of this? Given everything that's happened, finding those supplies is paramount. But I'm sure you are busy getting adjusted to life here. Is there anything I can help you with? Okaru was not that kind of man. He was grounded, reserved. This is highly unusual behavior for him. In other words, not only did you try to have me killed, if not for you, my cousin would still be alive. Yes, he was trying to leave a trail, it seems, in case something happened. I'd rather not say and alter your investigation. We need to be sure before we move on this. Your kind is unwelcome in Dasra, but I wanted to keep the circle of trust small in this matter. But I'm not averse to keeping that information between us. Mujin suggested a security detail, and I think I may take him up on his offer. If nothing else but for peace of mind. Thank you. Warden Vithal had brought some evidence linking Mujin to the crime, but it's your evidence that makes me feel confident we can convict. I'll try to keep that in mind. You're back. Are you ready to submit your evidence? Very well. Let us know when you're ready to speak on this. I forget that this is medicine for you. All right, I'll give you something, but please take it slow. I know there's been some recent additions to the houses after the cataclysm. What troubles you, Armiger? Yes, but without coordinates, Jandar's rest could be anywhere on Varun Kai. You're right, of course. It's not anyone's problem but my own. We caught Tavina trying to arrange an escape off-world. That won't go well during the trial. As I stated, we already ran a vocal analysis. It matched. Until next time, adherent. Without you, not only would we have not solved the case, but we would have never uncovered Tavina's work behind the scenes. Agreed. Ukaru was extremely punctual. An absence like this is very unlike him. This slate you found, it mentions a contact. Someone on the inside. The meeting takes place inside the halls of obedience. Will you watch my back? The guard will move him to lockup. You can visit him if you like, so long as he cooperates. Death will come in time. For what he has done, he deserves to rot away slowly. You should not be here, outsider. I do not speak with outsiders. Yes, we should start with that. Until next time, Vindicator. We'll talk more later. If you don't mind, I'd like a moment with the adherent alone. I'm sorry, adherent. I don't think I'll make it. It mentions a meeting that will take place at Jandar's Rest, but I don't know where that is. My name is Qisrani Dul'kehf. I work as an executor for House Dul'kehf. Thank you, Envoy. They would have to know where to route the shipments and how to clean the books. All told, I'm extremely grateful. Ukaru was family, and I would not have been able to rest if I knew the thief had not been brought to justice. That's a motive to want to hide the truth. We definitely should follow up on that. We'll need to rely on others at times, but I'd like to keep this investigation mostly between us. That was regrettable. Do not do that again. I'm well aware, which is why my door is open to colleagues and strangers alike. A week ago, my cousin Ukaru came to my office concerned about a series of lost shipments. Either way, I'm grateful. I was born into it, you might say. As all in House Dul'kehf are. You have no right to be here, outsider.
Thief!
You will not get anything out of me. Back to the world of spreadsheets and tables. To be fair, I love a good spreadsheet. My thanks are yours. You had no personal stake in solving my cousin's murder, yet you did so with diligence and aplomb. Regardless, he must answer for aiding the zealots and the murder of my cousin. But our next move should be to arrest Mujin. Some people enjoy a good wine, others music, but I am at home with a well-organized table. Working the spaceport would allow for both the smuggling of supplies and people amidst the chaos.
Put that back, now!
An outsider. From our vantage point, we couldn't see what was happening outside the scaled citadel, but I could hear the blast searing into my skull. Great serpent. By Genon's grace, we'll find out who the supply thief is and bring them to justice. I am of House Dul'kehf. We are meticulous to a fault. Before we move in, I want to make sure we have opened every closet, looked into every crack. My mind goes immediately to motive. Who would want to aid the zealots? I am aware of the conflict of interest, which is precisely why I'm letting the Vindicator take the lead on this. Reverend? the floor is yours. If she doesn't know the location of the hideout, at the very least she'll have a lead. I'm not someone in power, if that's what you think. Still, my work is important and allows me to meet all manner of people. They ensured all citizens were productive, fed, and had work, and that said work was in service to House Varun. If you don't mind, I'd like a moment with the Reverend alone. A blessing? An omen? Which is what I assume brings you to me? Do you need assistance? House Kedik. Are you sure? I'm glad all that research paid off. Tevina, do you have anything to say for yourself? Serpent's breath. It's the armiger. If you run into any issues with access, hand this slate to my fellow executors. That was the wisest course of action. And you did well to hide it, even from me. But you're right. If the criminals can work outside the law, we must do the same to catch them. Jinan grace you for taking on this investigation. You've done a great service for House Varun and for Dazra. I'm sorry, Vindicator. I don't think I'll make it. Thank you, Harbinger. Excellent. As for me, I must mourn my cousin's passing. I understand there's a shrine upstairs. Although it seems to be occupied at the moment, we are standing near the Halls of Obedience, a former courthouse. Criminals would be judged and sentenced there in more peaceful times. We've been through a lot, but the work continues. If you don't mind, I'd like a moment with the Armiger alone. It's good to have you back, cousin. Harbinger, I need a moment to ponder this. But for now, don't speak a word of it to anyone. Thank you, Envoy. I'll consider it. Was there anything else? If a shipment were put on hold and confiscated, it would likely go to them first. Thank you, Reverend. Leave me be. Now. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have some more paperwork to do. This slate lists you by name, Envoy. What do you have to say for yourself? You are not welcome here. So, now that we're alone, tell me, what have you uncovered? I will let him know it's safe to return. Knowing him, he has not shown his face out of an abundance of caution. Do not let her cheery demeanor fool you. She has a reputation around these parts for being a ruthless hunter of heretics. I am aware of the conflict of interest, which is precisely why I'm letting the adherent take the lead on this. I've moved most of your work to the other executors to give you time to settle in. For what it's worth, it does seem to fit your theory, however, that Okim was acting alone. Really? But in the interest of due diligence, we are monitoring the flow of supplies much more closely. I don't mean to alarm you, but I think I'm being followed. I'll feel more comfortable if we meet in a public place. Thank you, adherent. Maybe sometime later I'll take a moment to reflect on all that's happened. Which is why it comes with great shock that evidence points to a member of House Kedik as the thief. This cannot be happening! Armiger, the floor is yours. What are you doing? Leave this place, outsider. He mentioned that to me as well, but we'll need more. Keep digging into it and let me know what else you find. I apologize. The envoy and I were just discussing matters of state. Without any evidence, we only have speculation, at which point we will not have enough to convict anyone. It's more than luck. I'm beginning to think your coming was divined by the serpent itself, which, if true, would emphasize the need for discretion and an outside party. Very well. What would you like to know?
Enough of this. Give it back.
Theft of supplies, aiding the zealots, and the murder of my cousin. Always good to see you. Careful, envoy. It means nothing if those who lend a hand are holding a knife. Executors at House Dul'kehf focus mostly on trade. While we take pride in being self-sufficient, there are supplies that are necessary from the outside world for Dazra to function. Mujin has cooperated for the most part, but if it were up to me, it would be 10 shroudings before he could even think about an early parole. We have a different saying here in Dazra. The bleating groat is the first to slaughter. But it means more or less the same thing. Thank you, Armiger. I'm sorry. It's just, given all that's happened, it's been so long since I had a normal conversation. But this morning I received a slate from a courier. It was from Ukaru. It was worrying to say the least. Then I may be walking into an ambush, seeing as Mujin's the one who organized this meeting and supplied my security detail. But closing this case might help me start that process. So for that, I thank you. Talk to Tevina. Bring the people responsible to justice. Serpent's breath, it's the diviner. So I told my cousin to return with more evidence. And when I didn't hear back, I assumed that was the end of it. Construction materials, medical kits, food. The loss of all this is a great cause for concern, given the state of the city. And if I investigate this, I could be accused of wiping records or tampering with evidence. If Okim Kadik is our supply thief, then the case is closed. Based on recent revelations, I am certain he will no longer be a problem. Add to that the murder of a state official and, well, he'll be lucky if his death is swift. If you think that's wise, then all right. What have you uncovered? I think we can all agree that the charges for this crime are quite serious. Wait, this sounds like someone I know. You've paused. Is something the matter? It's about the supply shortage. There may be a reason for it beyond the cataclysm itself. I'm not even sure I remember how. But all right, what? You may have noticed, but I've been on the move a lot lately. Unbelievable. But to make a suggestion is one thing. Without approval from the speaker, the act is treason. If this is what I think it is, then let's be extra cautious.